It's Kevin Bass from thedietwars.com. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I guess right now you might be watching me on Instagram or on YouTube. I'm going to be talking to you guys today about, this is kind of the part 2 of the taurine video. What are some reasonable dosages for taurine? One of the things that I learned while doing the research for that video and thinking about that video after it was completed is I learned that I had been supplementing with taurine in the morning with the rest of my supplements, and this had been knocking me out in the morning. This had been causing me to almost to need a nap or before lunch. And the mechanism of this is obvious in retrospect, and I figured this out as I was reading about the literature, is it reduces these catecholamines. And of course, catecholamines and stress hormones are critical for waking your butt up in the morning. That's what's responsible for what is called the Zeitgeber, which is to say whenever the light hits your eyes early in the morning, it produces catecholamines, produces these stress hormones, which then causes you to wake up. What I also noticed is when I stopped taking taurine for an extended period of time, I was a little bit more anxious than normal, or at least this is what I thought looking at things back in retrospect. So what I started to do instead is started to take my taurine before bed. It's been fantastic. I haven't had any early morning sleepiness anymore. And in addition, the taurine knocks me out like nothing else does. Which then caused me to look at the literature a little bit more. And there's some evidence that taurine can be used as a sleep aid, but I think that I'm one of the first people who is now pointing this out very clearly. It drops blood pressure. It drastically reduces catecholamines in the blood. In rodent studies, it has been shown in randomized controlled trials in human studies to reduce norepinephrine and epinephrine in the blood. It stands to reason, therefore, that, furthermore, it's an anti-anxiety compound in rodents, both in rats and mice, in many, many anxiety models of anxiety in these animals. It stands to reason, you combine all these together, it makes sense that it might also be a sedative or hypnotic, or in other words, a sleep aid. And in my case, my personal experimentation, both taking it in the morning when I probably should not have been, and then switching that to taking it at night, which knocks me out, has supported that. In addition, it also seems to reduce my resting heart rate and increase my HRV whenever I take it right before bed. It calms me down. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys, but then I also wanted to share what kinds of dosages are used in these studies and what kinds of dosages you might find in nature from the consumption of taurine. In nature, let's just go back to this page that I found in this wonderful article called Characteristics of Selected Antioxidative and Bioactive Compounds in Meat and Animal Origin Products. It's out of Poland. It's an excellent review. It's not any primary science. They're not doing lab work, but they're systematically looking at the literature that is currently available. In this excellent article, they show that through all sorts of different kinds of types of meat, including even kangaroo and horse meat, although they're only showing this in particular for L-carnitine, but for taurine, they're showing all sorts of things: lamb, veal, beef, pork, turkey fillet, chicken fillet, beef liver, pork liver, poultry liver, cow's milk, goat milk, tuna, cod, Atlantic salmon, and oysters. So in general, the range of taurine concentration in these different kinds of meats is between, say, 30 milligrams per 100 grams, all the way up to about 110. Poultry liver is about 110, that's chicken liver. Pork is about 60. Atlantic salmon's 130 milligrams per 100 grams of Atlantic salmon. And then oysters are an exception, 396 milligrams per 100 grams, which mean about, if you say eat half a kilogram, so about a little more than a pound of oysters, you get 2 grams of taurine. So that's roughly the upper end of what you would find in nature, about 2 grams per day of taurine if you're going to eat half a kilogram or a pound of oysters. Now, some people might eat a whole kilogram. In this case, you're getting 4 grams. So between 2 and 4 grams is something you might max out with in nature, because we've been eating oysters for quite a long time as a species. Well, this dosage range up to 2 to 4 grams is consistent with the randomized controlled trial literature. Are you getting bored, baby?
No.
Okay. I know you're bored. Don't lie to me.
No.
Don't lie to me.
No way.
I'm just kidding. This is consistent with the randomized controlled trial literature. So in some cases, it's up to 6 grams per day, 9 grams per day, 1.6 grams per day. And in 1.6 grams per day, you saw a very robust double-blind randomized controlled trial, placebo-controlled trial, very robust effect on all sorts of measures of blood pressure. So very clinically significant effect. In fact, I'm even interested in looking this up just to make sure how robust this is. I want to report that to you. And that's going to be taurine. Let's report this to you guys. Exactly how big is the effect in this trial? Yeah, systolic blood pressure reduction was about 7.2 millimeters mercury, and diastolic is about 4.7 millimeters mercury. You know what? And let's look at what an ACE inhibitor does. What kind of effect size it has. Well, so that's freaking fantastic. So it's on par with what we call an ACE inhibitor, which is a standard fare medication that's given to patients. So I found this particular meta-analysis on Science Direct. It's called Angiotensin Converting Enzyme Inhibitors and Hypertension, to use or not to use. 7.7 millimeters mercury reduction in systolic and 4.6 in diastolic. Here, it's 7.2 and 4.7. Wow, that's absolutely phenomenal. It is on par with the standard of care pharmaceutical intervention at only 1.6 grams per day. Now, if you look at what the official organizations say about this in many different studies, the upper end, the upper dosage that's safe is reported to be about between 2 and 3 grams per day. Okay, so a good thing to try if you're thinking about it as a sleep aid, which I would, maybe do, is starting with 500 milligrams or a gram, and you can go all the way up to about 2 grams. And you will see reductions in your blood pressure and reductions in your improvements in heart rate, improvements in heart rate variability, and I believe also improvements in sleep quality and easier to get to sleep, as I find for myself. There's no published literature on this, but these are safe dosages according to a large and substantial body of literature, including many, many, many randomized controlled trials. In fact, this is kind of lowballing it. So half a gram to a gram to start with, up to 2 grams is workable for a bedtime sort of supplement. And if you're looking for the anti-anxiety or blood pressure effects over the course of a day, you could take it 3 times a day if you'd like. And I would say start out at about 250 milligrams at each dose. But if you just want to take it once a day, I would say take it at night. Do not take it in the morning. Do not make my mistake. Take it at night, and it'll only help your sleep and produce an anti-anxiety effect, I think, during the day as well, as far as I can tell. Now, there's no good evidence for that at all. There's like no human evidence whatsoever for that. But that's what I notice. And it's probably the case that my guess would be that it reduces circulating catecholamines and probably does it at night as well, improving sleep quality, improving quality of life is my guess. But at the very minimum, you are going to see a sleep aid effect, an anti-anxiety effect at night, and you will see a reduction in blood pressure or a reduced exposure to high blood pressure over time, especially if you take it at night every single day, a reduction in cardiovascular disease risk, and a reduction in total cholesterol. And I feel more confident about those claims, especially, namely that these will lead to reduced cardiovascular disease. But these still need to be tested in a randomized controlled trial. Until then, this is an adjunct that you can use in a range that's very similar to what you'd find in one's diet if one's consuming a large amount of meat, as like a hunter-gatherer would do. And you can see anti-anxiety effects. If you're looking for the anti-anxiety effect, I would say take it morning, afternoon, or morning, noon, and at night. Say about 250 milligrams, and start there. 250 milligrams per dose for a total of 750. Start there and then go up to 500 milligrams per dose. And if you find yourself getting drowsy or sedated, as I have, I've wanted to go take a nap, then reduce the dose. Again, there's no good evidence for a lot of this. A lot of this is based on mechanisms and plausibility and personal experience. And again, it's within the range of what a dietary intake could provide. Therefore, it's normal exposures, and it's also taking all the biomarkers in the right direction. By the way, there is some evidence as well that it might be anti-inflammatory, although that evidence is a little bit weaker. I believe that this supplement is safe. It's within the normal range of food. It's taking the biomarkers all in the correct direction. It needs to be taken with caution with respect to drowsiness and feeling a little bit sleepy. It can be used as a sleep aid, and I think overall in the long term, it will improve health and reduce disease risk. And so if you want to use it in those concentrations that I've described, those dosages that I've described. Those doses are widely considered safe by medical authorities. The applications I'm describing are less well established, in fact, quite poorly established, but I'm quite confident that these will be borne out by studies in the future. The effect size is another question. Is the effect as big as I think it is? I'm not sure. But if you're getting these large drops in blood pressure, if you're getting these large drops in catecholamines in animal models, I feel pretty confident the effect size will be at least modest to substantial. So if you want to try and experiment with that, especially if you're a vegan not having any taurine in your diet, give it a shot. In cats, and in other animals, it's an obligatory, it's an essential amino acid. They have to have it. In Japan, they treat heart failure with it. So it can also be used for heart failure, probably for the same reasons. It's reducing your afterload. It's reducing the stress on the heart because it's reducing the blood pressure, and it's causing the heart to beat a little bit slower. So in Japan, it's actually used for heart failure. And I believe it can be used for anxiety and sleep as well. And it will be salutary for cardiovascular disease risk. And thanks for watching this video. Again, I've tried to be very transparent about the evidence, but I'm very excited about this compound. So thanks for watching. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can find her. Where are you? Twitter? You on Twitter?
No.
You making angry tweets?
No, I'm watching YouTube.
She's watching YouTube. What channel?
After.
You can't find her on AFMAL, but she watches AFMAL, so. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Follow me, like, comment, subscribe. The more comments people have, the more questions you guys want to ask, the better this video will do, the better my channel will do, the more this information gets out to everybody else. So the best thing you could do is speak about what interests you, and if this interests you, let me know. If there's any other ideas for any other videos as well, any other questions, let me know those as well. Maybe I can make a video about those as well. Thanks for watching.